Okay, so I guess we're doing this after a substitute teaching day. Takes me a minute to get out of the parking lot anyway, so I figured I'd go ahead and try to get this video in. So this is going to be kind of the overview of my journey. This is not the beginning. Really, you guys are coming, I guess it's the intermediate, middle-ish stage for me trying to get into dental school. So this has been a trial for sure. I've learned a lot about myself, and I'm actually prepping to move into a Chapel Hill dorm room for the MED program. So a little bit about me. I've wanted to be a dentist since like 17-ish when I shadowed my general dentist and I watched him pull teeth all day, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. It kind of lined up with my fascination with surgery, and it was a much faster path to being able to do procedures like that. So I was like, okay, I kind of like this. I'm gonna look into it. Got into college. Had a lot of good opportunities with internships and things like that. Showed me health disparities, showed me community clinics, and really the biggest thing was the need for rural dentists. So I grew up in a rural area, an area with population size 300 people. Next biggest city over for my actual address is like maybe 4,000 people. So it's not a very big area at all. Town I went to school in 300 people. My street address 4,000. And so I had all these opportunities, internships, shadowing, things like that. People encouraging me, hey, you know, your application, you're getting ahead. We're giving you all the tips and tricks here. You should be able to get right into school, right? Didn't quite work out that way. So looking back, hindsight, I was burnt out, very much so. I was a honor student in high school, and then I was an honor student in college. And honestly, like, school isn't really my thing. Like, it's just the structure of everything and the fact that we put emphasis more so on excelling versus being interested and curious. And, you know, I'm not big on the traditional school model of the US. And I'm especially not a big fan of the hoops and hurdles to get into dental school, which is counterintuitive and honestly at the time very immature of me, but it's just a reality. I struggle with it. And so at the time, when I was in undergrad, I started off very strong, had a 3.7, and slowly over the years it was dropping lower and lower. I ended up finishing with a 3.29 due to just by that junior and senior year I was struggling, and senior year all my friends had graduated, and honestly I probably was dealing with some form of, you know, just lower energy level, and I never really had any I never really got checked or had like true support, I would say. I had somebody, I was in a relationship at the time, wasn't really a great thing for me, but I was ignoring it because of self-confidence issues, struggling, working jobs on the weekends. Ended up applying to school anyway, so took the DAT twice and got a 17 both times, slight variations in scores. But I decided to apply to dental school, and so I applied to a few schools. Ended up getting rejected, of course. And Mahari actually sent me a invitation to their master's program. So the way it's supposed to work is take the master's program. I already had a good enough score for them on my DAT. So all I needed to do was take the classes, get a 3.0, and I was supposed to get an acceptance. Well, I royally screwed that up. Ended up getting married right before the program started, and it had some effect on my decision making with where I lived and some of the stress of the program. I checked out mentally. I did. And I wasn't honest with myself then either. First semester was a little bit better. I think I had like a 3.0, 3.1, something like that. Second semester, basically with that kind of level, there's no room for error. And I ended up I ended with a 2.76. And I'm really honestly blessed that they gave me that, because I was not doing what I was supposed to do. And so at the time I ended up separated right around that same time, and I ended up having to find a job. So I was working gas station job for a year in Tennessee by myself, paying for an apartment where my entire month's check covered my rent. And the only lucky thing for me was that COVID had started, so I could kind of get away with not paying my rent sometimes. And I kind of just piddled along until I decided, let me see if I can go back home and kind of restart, because there was nothing I could do in Tennessee at the time without setting myself back a very long way. So I Called my parents up. They talked about it. They allowed me to come back home, packed all my shit up. I didn't tell them. I moved out, left a few things. But being the person I am, once I got home, started getting on my feet, paid all my apartment dues, and paid for the cleaning fee, convenience fees, and all that. They were really taxing. That's one thing that I've never been a fan of with apartments. I seem to have the look where they renovate, but really it's just painting over everything and not really fixing anything. And so I was overpaying for that place, but I just felt bad. I can't really just let stuff, like if I make an obligation, I like to finish it. So it was a rough time for me. I ended up deciding to teach because it just was a very good option at the time. I taught for about 2 years, coached a little bit during that time, and really just took the time to relax and forget about school. I knew that eventually I would want to go back because it's one of those things where if I could get a taste of it, maybe I could say, okay, maybe it's not for me. But I've never really had a taste of it. Like, I've done all these sciences and stuff, the stuff that has nothing to do with dentistry. When I'm shadowing stuff, I think it's the most coolest, awesome thing ever. But I'm not, like, you never get full hands-on experience of what it is to be a dentist until you do dental school. So I knew I'd go back. While I'm teaching, end up accidentally meeting an awesome person who motivated me to try to take my DAT again for the third time. I wasn't very confident in it, but I did decide that this time I'm going to do things proper. Before, I really wasn't studying. Once again, I wasn't fully into everything, wasn't really caring. I figured it'll be all right. I'll do a little bit of studying and be fine. This time, got DAT boot camp. The questions made studying a whole lot easier for me because it wasn't perfect. I was coaching at the time, teaching, like I had no time. And so I would really just kind of fit questions in when I could, mostly on the weekends. I did a little bit of studying with Chad's videos a few months before I started doing my questions, but really that was it. It's just boot camp after that. And so I ended up getting about an average national score of 20 AA. My reading section was my best section. Science was mediocre, and my quantitative reasoning was okay. PAT was average, mediocre. But I got that 20 AA, which is typically what people need to get into dental school. So I'm happy with that. It's my third attempt. I don't see any reason to petition unless I'm told I need to. Take that score, apply to a post-bac, got in, thankfully. Spent a year doing that. Ended up not being a perfect situation at all. I had to work because I was about 6,000 short both semesters due to how the classes were structured. So I worked through the whole program about 20 to 30 hours a week. Ended up finishing the first semester with a 3.6. By the end of the second semester, I had a 3.5 for the program. Isn't the greatest thing, but I'm happy for it because there were times where I was working and taking one class and failed out because I just couldn't handle the stress. So for me, that was a big milestone. So now so during that program, I applied to two things because I was trying to increase my application as well. I applied to an internship that would have ran the course of a year while I applied to dental school. Would have looked great. Also applied for the MED program, Medical Education Development Program. What that is a program that UNC Chapel Hill has had since the 70s, meant to help get underrepresented populations into dental school. And so since I'm from a rural area, decided it'd be a good idea to apply. So I applied, got very lucky to get in because they're only taking about 50 people this year. And so I move into that this Friday as I am substitute teaching, volunteering, shadowing. Like, this has just been a crazy journey, and the one hope that I have is that it's all worth it, really. This, for somebody that doesn't like education, somebody that doesn't have a lot of money, I have made the worst decisions possible for both choices. But if I can get in, I feel like anybody can get in. So we're going to see. We're going to see how it goes. So this is the beginning. I'm excited to move into MED because it gives me a chance to really prove that if I only have one thing going on, which would be school for the first time in a very long time, and under a heavy course load, if I can thrive there, then there's no reason I shouldn't be in dental school. So my plan is to go and really show what I can do, really focus on learning how to study, or not learning. Let's perfect my method best I can. Let's be consistent, because normally that's a big issue for me. One thing that I do love is that for me, when I'm interested, it's so easy. It's so easy to learn stuff when you're interested. I mean, I can just melt hours away learning about a subject and stuff. But it's been hard because sciences on paper aren't always things that I can see and I can feel, I can understand or fully get invested in. So I got a lot of that at my post-bac at Meredith, which was great. So now I'm hoping that I can apply some of that curiosity, that intensity and discipline to the MED program. And I'm applying at the same time. Hopefully I'll submit my application in July. MED, if I do well, typically that gives you a very good shot at getting into Chapel Hill. So I'm applying there, as well as a few other schools in the state. Oh, and I got into ECU's Impressions program this year. It's been a busy year. I made some good connections there as well. So top 2 choices, ECU Chapel Hill. Of course, I still have love for Meharry because they looked out for me, honestly, even though I messed up. So I would love to reconnect with them. And then there's a few other choices, and we'll see how those go. But this is the beginning. Hopefully you guys follow my journey and can kind of get a little bit of inspiration from it. And hey, if you got any tips, let me know. Peace.